Hello and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Code by CodeMonk.ai. Today I'm joined with Ranjiva Prasad, who is a Chief Innovation Architect at Visa. He's responsible to build all the new exciting stuff for Visa. And today we're going to cover some of his key insights on building new innovations. What kind of teams do you need to bring those innovations to the market? How do you go about building new technical engineering teams, especially when you're working on a mission critical projects? What are the key career advice you can have if you are a new graduate starting out now, and some few more insights that we will hear from him. So let's hear from Ranjiva. Thank you. Hello, Ranjiva. How are you doing, man?
Hey Maulik, how are you? It's been a while. Good to see you again.
I know. It's been like almost what 10 years that we worked together at Visa. Back then, it was an interesting program. I remember working with you. You've been one of the chief architect on the program that we were working with. Really amazing to have worked with you. And 10 years is a long time for us to reconnect again. I'm all up to hearing more from you on what you have been up to. How do you perceive the tech world is changed and where it's heading to? So I'm really looking forward to our chat today. But for us to get insight for our audience, why don't you tell us more about your background? What have you done so far, and what are you currently working on?
All right. So I think let's just start from the basics. I'm a builder, right? I'm an engineer. That's who I am. That's who I am. Even in my spare time, I build stuff and like sh like I don't know, walls, decks, construction. I'm an engineer. I like getting down in understanding so many different types of engineering discipline. I'm an aeronautical engineer by training, but I'm also a software engineer. And lately I've been studying like civil engineering, so I've been doing construction work at home. So I'm a builder. That's how I see myself. So studied aeronautical engineering, then I studied software engineering, computer science, and then I went into machine learning and joined an innovation center about 25 years ago, working on machine learning solutions for government clients, basically, in various areas from fraud detection and other areas. But I was always heavily involved in, the software engineering side rather than the algorithm side. I kind of ended up in a startup prior to Visa, 11 years at Visa, but prior to Visa in a startup, led and built an engineering team, 35 people, and then, there was an opportunity to come and work for Visa that arose, and that's where you and I met on what was then a very exciting program, right? Those were fun days in terms of building out wallets and other digital solutions, and yeah, and then I moved into innovation, and here I am.
Okay, that's wonderful. To be honest, I have not met anybody who is an aeronautical engineer who is also a software engineer and is also doing civil or construction engineering, right? So, you literally could be making, like, as you say, your rocket ship, working in a startup, you want to have that whole exponential growth. You are almost like a rocket maker, for a startup. Would that be fair to describe yourself?
That's why Visa brought me in. That's why Visa brought me in. So you know what was going on at that time? We were building out a whole new set of digital solutions. Visa at that time was owned by our members, right? The banks. That's why I was literally brought in. You've got startup experience. We need to change things. And that's why innovation is actually the natural home for me in an organization such as Visa, because there's a big component of Visa that works on the operations and making sure that the transactions, you can make a transaction any time of day and it will work. That's Visa. But we in innovation are about, well, what's next? Where do we go next? And that's really a startup. That's really a builder culture.
Yeah. You know what? I remember one thing from my visa days, in our office when you used to come in, you will see like a live transaction counter as you enter the office, and
mm.
like by 9 a.m. you will already be seeing like hundreds of millions of transactions done on that particular day, almost in real time, and you will see the counter going up crazy. Uh, and for me, that was like the moment you come in the office and you really see immediately the impact that you're making by the work you are doing, the scale of the work you are doing, and any minor change that you do to your software or to your infrastructure, it will immediately have impact across the world. So for me, that was the moment, as you walked into the office, that the importance of the work that you were doing.
Yeah, so we have a platform that runs at 65, makes 65,000 transactions per second.
Wow.
So we have a platform that allows you to pay. You can be anywhere in the world at midnight. I always use this example, and you need to get a taxi, right?
Yeah.
To wherever you need to go. Um, we will ensure we're in that moment. We will ensure that works. We will ensure that transaction is done so you can get to where you need to go to. In fact, I'm going to name drop a little bit here. I do like doing this. I once met the CTO. My background in aerospace. I worked on a mission to Mars. And so I ended up meeting the CTO of NASA, right? A few years ago. We haven't got time for the whole story, but I met him. And I said to him, how do you innovate in a mission critical environment? Right? Because I want to know, I want to tell my SVP, because you know what? And I talked to everyone on that floor. I said, tonight, all of you are going to rely on us to do what we do to get you home. You are. You just will. We will be in one moment of your journey. We will. We just will be. Right? Whether you're buying something, just whatever, just to get you home, you're paying for the tube, whatever it is, we are there. So that's what I said to him. How do you make sure how do you innovate? And you know what he said is very, really simple. You put a team together, a diverse team together. You let them get on with it, but make sure you keep their eye on the ball. That's it. It's just 3 steps. So that is like, we are mission critical. That is what we do. And when you come into the office, I remember all of that. I go, this is who I'm working for. This is the impact that I can have. And we have impact at the ecosystem level. So I work at the ecosystem level. I'm here to change the network, right? Not just some software in a data center, but the whole network, which is incredibly challenging, but also incredibly rewarding.
Yeah. So just building more on that,
Mm,
we when we talk about innovation and some of the news that you've read, you normally mostly hear about end consumer or customer facing innovations,
mm,
right?
mm.
But what we don't hear too much about is the back end engineering, the infrastructure layer and all. Without divulging too much about confidential information, are you able to talk about some of the key trends happening in the back end side?
I worked on mission critical back end stuff. Less so at Visa. So I was, as I said, I'm more on that innovation side, on the product side.
Hmm.
But obviously, we rely on the infrastructure to do what it does. And at the level that I can speak to you about, how does that happen? So we talk about this. I always talk about this to my team, right? And so brilliant basics to create magic moments. Doesn't matter. It can be a product. It can be a product feature. What I'm saying is do the basics well. In the previous company, we had a rule, right? We put in a new messaging platform. My team did. I had a rule. It was a really simple rule. I went to my CEO. I said to my CEO, because each of those transactions was money, I said to him, how much money can I lose, like from drop transactions in a month? You know what he did? He went into his pocket, right? This is going back, I don't know, 15, 16 years ago. People still carried cash in those days, right? He pulled out 30 pence. He said to me, out of the X millions, and I can't divulge that, but you can lose 30 pence. It worked out to about 1 in 10 billion transactions. I could only drop 1 in 10 billion transactions, right? So how do you do that? Let's go back to what the CTO told me. I build a diverse team. I make sure they're pointed in the right direction and I follow up. And what that team did is did the basics most brilliantly. Strip back, strip back, strip back, and really simplify the problem. Really understand what you're trying to solve. It's not about the tools. It's not about, we can talk about containerization. We can talk about so much stuff, right? We can talk about elasticity. We can talk about running things active, and all the challenges we have. And, when I came into Visa, I talked to everybody, hey, the cap theorem base, all of that stuff, right? And the challenges we were having in running active many, many, many years ago. But ultimately, it's not, you learn as a builder, it's not about the technology, it's about the process, it's about the people. I led my last company through an agile transformation. And then I asked, we got specialists in, people that your listeners will know. We got them in and I said, what tool should I use? And they said, don't. Use pen and paper. Use a whiteboard. You don't need to use a Jira. You don't need to use this. You don't need to use any of that stuff. Don't do that. What you do is you figure out as a team how you want to work, right? And then you bring the tools in to support that. And, we did that agile transformation and we went from, my teams were working 70 hours a week. Right? We're in a startup. It's a difficult industry, mobile messaging. I was in mobile payments. It's challenging, right? It's a new industry, heavily increasing amounts of regulation. My team is global. By putting those practices in, we went from 70-hour working weeks to just normal working weeks. So it's not the technologies, right? The technologies are there. We could talk about all of the things there. I'm personally interested in the whole serverless thing. I love functional programming. It's kind of my thing, but it's not that. You want to run a system at scale. It's not that. It's your processes. It's your people. It's the controls you put in, right? That then shapes the technology.
Yeah, it's interesting. You're talking of the people, and on our platform, CodeMonk, we built this feature where the team manager or engineering manager can onboard their internal teams, and the team member, they have to go through a small onboarding process for us to understand their skill set, their behaviors, their motivation, and stuff like that. And our platform basically crunch all this information at the team level and give the manager a view on how that team is working together. What are the collective skills they bring together? What are different behaviors they have together? And we, to back this up, we basically ran a survey with almost 100 plus engineering managers that we knew of. Surprisingly, about more than 90% of the managers didn't have a clue on how their teams were structured.
Yeah.
Most of them came back with a very generic answer that, okay, we know who is performing the best, we know who is performing the worst, but we don't know anything else more than that on the individual, a person to person dynamics, individual motivations and stuff like that. Would that surprise to you? How would you frame this in your experience?
Yeah, because look, you want to send something to another planet, right? Let's
Yeah.
talk about something like that, and you're going to spend, I don't know, X billions on doing that, right?
Hmm.
I come from the aerospace industry. We talk about the right stuff, right? Because the decisions you make, when I was studying, I kind of there was an incident that something flew past my head at about, I don't know how many hundreds of miles an hour, right? We were machining something. Someone hadn't followed the process. Actually, I was very close to not being here today,
Yeah.
right? So that industry has learnt really through people and the loss of people, actually, because that it is about your motivations, it is about your behavior at that moment, at that critical moment. So, if you have an operational system, let's bring it back, right? And you have this major outage, and I'm just talking hypothetically. This is not about anything that is real. At that 2 a.m. moment, who do you want on your team? And actually, in my last company, we had plenty of those 2 a.m. moments. The systems used to go down, the platforms that I used to work with moved, I don't know, hundreds of millions of messages a day. And you can imagine it's a queuing system, right? And queues get backed up. And then the problem is when queues get backed up, they're persistent, you're hitting the disk going around like crazy on the servers, the CPU's going like crazy, the log is jammed up. How do you free it? And often, for some crazy reason, it used to happen at Saturday, 2 a.m. on a bank holiday.
Yeah.
In that moment, I was able to call people in because those people cared about the company, right? So, if you see engineering as this mechanical thing, go build some stuff, submit some code, do a pull request, like all of that, blah, 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 blah. Sorry, that's not how you build world-leading stuff. If you see it as an organic process where people are coming together, and I did this on my MBA, software engineering is just a knowledge management problem. I wrote a paper on that. So it's about people coming together and interacting and figuring out what motivates you. What motivates you? And do we share the same goal? And more importantly, do you want me to have that goal? Do I want you to have that goal more than me? When you do that, you build a world-class team that can do anything from launching a spacecraft to completely ripping out an unreliable messaging platform and replacing with that something that nobody ever needs to look at for 4 or 5 years. It comes from the team, it's not the tech.
Okay. So, in your opinion, what makes a good team? Given our background, let's focus on the engineering team. What makes a good engineering team?
In the startup, right? Here's the thing. In the startup, and it's applicable to any organization like the one I'm working for at the moment, right? But here's the thing. In the startup, it was interesting. The guys in the engineering team, and I was an engineering manager, right? They cared as much. There was none of this business. I'm business, you're technology. Let's go ask the business. Forget that. We are the business. Hey, there's only 200 of us, or even less of us. We got to make money, right? I care about the business. I care about my clients, right? I'm always focused on the business outcome. Yeah, I see my role, it's not to sell. My role is to run the technology to the best ability and choose those tools that deliver the business outcome. And that's not always the latest and greatest and the coolest or whatever it is, right? Hey, let's go and invest whatever in this tool. That's not a startup culture. That's not a startup culture that wins. A startup culture that wins and an engineer that wins is basically going, what am I trying to achieve for my customer, for my client? Because that's how I get paid. That's a proper engineering culture. And if you go into aerospace companies, and I'm not going to talk about one at the moment, big one, everybody knows who they are, right? That's what's
Yeah.
being leveled at them. That's what's being leveled at them. Where did that culture go, guys? Because they were right there. They had that culture. Where has that culture gone from that part of the world? That's the thing. Go to SpaceX, and again, I speculate, but on what I've seen, that's the culture. That's the culture to fail, the culture to take risks, because we're focused on the mission and the outcome, not on the tools. Now, that's probably really unusual for your listeners to hear.
Yeah. Makes sense. Just I want to move on a little bit
Yeah.
from more from the employer point of view to
Mm.
more on the talent point of view, right? Recently, we've been hearing a lot about a lot of different AI based tools, to do X, Y, Z. You have
Yep.
tools to you know get a lot of stuff done automatically, probably in some cases better than what humans can do,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Now, that is posing a real problem for new graduates, and especially with this remote working as well. So, when new graduates are coming out, first of all, they don't really know where to get started. Most of them don't go to the office, or even when they go in the office, they don't have any other colleagues to
Mm.
learn from. They don't know how to build up their skills. where to focus more, what is the
Mm,
next trends going to be when it
mm.
comes to workplace environment. What would you say to them? Somebody who has been in this space for a while, and I still believe that you are quite hands-on to when it comes to
Yep.
leading and mentoring your team. What would you recommend to young folks?
So I'm already kind of recommending this. So one, I'm going to state this. I think this is a temporary problem. I think the graduates who are coming out now are in kind of a little bit of a difficult situation. Because if I see what's going on in the schools, for example, with my daughter, they have now Gen AI on their curriculum from like year four, year five. This is there. This is happening, right? They have a fully digital AI curriculum. So these guys, my daughter is going to come out and know this stuff inside out, right? And
Hmm.
know where she can play in this world, right? She's going to get educated in that way. So I think it's a temporary problem. So the graduates coming out now, you know, that's a challenging situation for them. It goes back to what I've just said. If your job is simply on my teams, on my engineering teams, if your job was just to code, sorry, that's not really valuable to me. But if your job is to problem solve, if your job is to engage with a wider business, with a wider client, if your job is to be a proper builder, if you're a builder, you don't care. If I'm a builder, right? If I can get a mini excavator into the back of my garden, I'm going to get a mini excavator into the back of my garden because it's going to allow me to get to where I want to go much more quickly. Sorry. But if I'm the guy who's got the spade and just wants to dig holes, I've got a problem. I've got a real problem because I'm going to bring a mini excavator in to my garden, right? This is my point, is don't just focus on that basic. What's elevated me in my career, I often think, like, why have I had this career that I've had? It's like so many so many things going on, right? Because I just have this curiosity to follow, and almost follow the money, follow the revenue, follow the outcome, but still know my place in that. I'm not a great salesperson. I'm never going to do that. I'm a builder. But I'm a builder who understands the commercial environment, my clients, what we're trying to do, and more than that, the ecosystem. Where are we going? So I look at a tool like that and I go, brilliant, that's like an excavator. Or I got a cement mixer. Brilliant, I don't have to shovel this stuff in a wheelbarrow anymore. That's what a graduate should be doing. And when I started my career, that's what I was taught. You've got to focus on the client. You've got to focus on where the money is. That's a builder culture, right? And then I'm just getting a way more powerful tools to be able to do that. Brilliant. That's what I need.
That's pretty insightful. What's next for you outside your day-to-day job? What are the other things that you're excited and passionate about?
So I am passionate about a few things, right? I'm currently doing I'm studying for my CSSP. I'm excited by, we just made an announcement as Visa yesterday on a few things, right? So I'm into those topics and particularly identity. Through identity, I started thinking about the cloud and the edge of the cloud and where we store data. So I'm kind of, I've always dialed into cybersecurity in my career. I'm kind of one of the things I'm doing, set myself, is I'm going to do my cloud certified security professional exam, right? So I still have like the curiosity to study for that. And partly because I kind of know quite a lot of it. I should just formalize that. So that's one thing I'm kind of looking at, right? Just a little bit of study, but here's the thing. I also did a master's in sustainability. So that's what I mean. I've had this crazy career because I've not just built software. I've designed wind turbines, right? And I put solar farms in orphanages in India. I've done so many things because I just follow my passions and my curiosity, and I just keep going, and I keep just like, yeah, let's try that, let's do that. Oh, let's try. Oh, that's interesting as well. Oh, let's do that as well. So, the intersection of sustainability and digital technology is massively intriguing to me, is massively transformational, right? You're already seeing it. So today in the UK, you can buy a water heater, a water tank, storage tank. You know what I mean? A lot of people have them in their houses, right? That thing is connected to the network, to the grid, and it's getting signals from the grid on when the grid is going, hey, I've got too much wind, I've got too much solar. Hey, I'm giving this power away, who wants it? And my water tank will go, I want it, because it's going to heat up water. It's got capacity. Or you have a battery that charges at night. Hey, the grid, it's really windy at night. I've got free power, take it on, right? So there's this intersection between the digital and the physical, which is super hard. From
Yeah.
smart grids, from when your car charges, when your car will eventually, your EV will pump back power into your house, right? The F-150 Ford is already doing that in the US. It's like amazing. You can be out in the middle of nowhere. These things are big. You can have a power cut. You don't care because your car is powering your home. But there's
Yeah.
intelligence in all of that. And, you know, that naturally starts to segue into the topic of AI. Can we understand those signals? Can AI then kind of go, hey, you should be buying washing machine, come on. No, washing machine, don't start. Or this start. Can it be this intelligence that just starts to control when we consume or things consume power? Now, that's what I'm interested in. And also on the back of that, if I generate power like I do in India in an orphanage, right? Well,
Mm.
I'm saving carbon CO2. So the thing is, right? Okay, the model is you guys generate electricity. We put solar farms in all of these places, from village schools, orphanages, whatever they are, right? Doesn't matter. You guys, the deal is, I'll pay for it. You guys keep the electricity. I take the carbon credits, and I'm going to put those onto a carbon market. So these are things I like to explore, but there's an intersection between the physical and the digital and AI. Those three things are converging. And if any of your listeners want to know where to go in their career, you don't want to really look too much further than those things.
That's pretty good. Just I want to build more on that.
Mm.
What are few other areas like that you think are very interesting in near future?
So, all right, we talk about this at Visa. I'm not going to mention specifics, I can't, but I'm going to talk about, I'm an architect, that's my role, right? I'm a builder. I talk about principles, I talk about concepts. What are the irreversible trends? What are the irreversible trends, right? And that's what you've got to figure out. For me, what are the irreversible trends? Digital government, what we see in Ukraine, what
Mm.
we see in a country that is having tremendous challenges at the moment, and we know why, right?
Yeah.
They're digitizing government. Unbelievable set of experiences they're creating. Okay, so that's kind of one. We are inherently moving into a less stable world, right? But our governments are being asked to do even more with less,
Yeah.
right? Think about India. How do you deliver services to 1.4 billion people across that country? And nobody will know how vast it is until you try and actually sell things village by village, which is one of the companies, a relative of mine that I was supporting, he was doing that. You don't realize how big that country is until you go village by village, right? So digital delivery of government services is huge, right? And everything that goes with it. Now
Yeah.
let's talk about climate change. Climate change is going to create different outcomes for different people. Some opportunities, many threats. So this is what I'm saying is those are the problems you need to go after. You've got to start with the problem, right? Rather than the tech. And then you've got to go, where can AI help in that, right? Because I know what AI can do. Where does it help? What can it do? What about an identity? What about that? What about the sustainable development goals? How can we help with that? It's a different kind of way of thinking. It's an outside in model, right? instead of an inside out where we start with a technology and go, oh, let's try and do that. Well, most of the time it doesn't work because you haven't really understood the problem. So sorry, I don't know if I answered the question, but I think that's the right answer to it.
Okay, it makes sense. You pick you understand what trends are happening. You understand what are the state of play for different technologies. And try to figure out an opportunity or the problem area, and then try to applying the next of the technology to solve that problem. So totally makes sense, right? Sorry. Look, we are like almost running out of time here. And so before we end this recording, I still want to get few more insights from you. And this is something that we ask all of our guests who attend our podcast. Sorry, I'm just coughing right now. Sorry for that. So we want to know, like, any one person, living or dead, that you're most impressed by or influenced by. Sorry, in your life.
Interesting question. I'm going to go Nelson Mandela, and I'm going to tell you why if you want to know. You know, at Visa, our mission is to uplift everyone everywhere. That is the front and central. If I don't come into Visa every day, or if I'm coming into my home office or wherever into the building, right, in Paddington in this case, if I don't come in with what is my purpose every single day, I'm going to get blown off course, right? Because there's 101 things kind of happening. So if you think about Nelson Mandela and what happened to him, what he was fighting for, and then the imprisonment, and then to walk out of that and uplift and unite a nation and move them in a particular direction and create this rainbow nation, that's what inspires me. And that's the kind of change I want to make. That's what I've been trying to do my whole career, is to uplift everyone everywhere. And he is a perfect example of that.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. If who do you suggest we invite as one of our guests on the podcast? Can be anybody, right? Can be completely random person. Can be somebody that we don't know. But who do you think we should invite?
So I did look at the list of common connections you and I had, but I don't think I'm going to name. I'm not going to name. I'm not going to name names. I'm. I'm. It's difficult. I mean, I think there's. It's interesting to me. When I saw some of the questions and in preparation, I went. What I do at Visa is kind of a cross between a CTO and a CPO. So we're
Mm.
seeing that role more and more, right? So that's a path for engineering leaders to move to. That's what I mean by elevating up, understanding the commercial. I see that in my network increasingly, that these roles in certain sizes of organization kind of cross over. The technology and the product roles, they're not separate. They're the same because products are now technology, right? So you might want to pick on one of them. There might be a chief digital officer, but they may be playing two hats, a CTO, CPO.
Mhm.
That's who I would invite. And you might get a completely different perspective to me, but I think that'd be great.
Okay, cool. We'll try. We'll try. You'll be surprised. We've been asked to invite Elon Musk a few times.
You know what? I could say that, right? But I thought I'd, yeah, why not invite Elon Musk? There's obviously in the AI world, Jan LeCun. I like him very much. Andrew Nug, he's good as well. Some of these guys, right? There's a great book, but probably a little bit. Well, maybe you can do that. But I'm going to give you someone who's a CTO, CPO. I think that's a super interesting intersection of role, and they can give you they can give your listeners a really good like, how did they get to that place?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting one. I would agree to that because I've been a CPO a couple of times for a few startups, and I have always, like, I never treat product and technology different. I always like get them to work together. I mean, any startup I work with, we never had a CTO. I was like a product and tech guy who would not only decide on the product, but will also decide on how to build that product. What frameworks to use. What architecture to go for, and so on. So yeah, I would love to do that. You know what? Now you got me thinking. I think I'll have to look through my LinkedIn and find a relevant person for the next podcast. So cool. Ranjiva, I know we've been talking for a while. Some great insight, I must say. In how to go about thinking about a problem, how to go thinking about your own career and the future. Where the opportunities lie. So I think great insight from you today. Thanks a lot for making time to come on our podcast, and really happy to connect with you after a long time. I'm really pleased to having spoken to you for now. Cool. Thank you, Ranjiva,
Thank you,
and all the
Maulik.
very
Great.
best with what you
Thank you.
do.
Thank you. Thanks for
Right.
having me on.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.